Good evening. Tonight, there is nowhere you need to be. Nothing to finish, nothing to solve. The day is over now. So take a slow, comfortable breath. Settle into your favorite position, and if you'd like, put on your headphones. As the rain falls softly outside, allow your shoulders to relax. Let your jaw loosen. Let your breathing find its own gentle rhythm. There is no need to focus on anything. No need to remember anything. No need to do anything at all. Tonight, all you need to do is listen. Everything is calm here. Everything is still. Now, follow me through the sleeping aisles, past the shelves, past the rows of forgotten stories, toward the reading table at the center of the library. Waiting beneath the glow of a single green lamp is tonight's book. Let's open it together. Tonight's book is The Cave of Dreams. As we turn the first page, the library grows quieter still. The rain continues softly beyond the windows, and the story begins. The warm evening air drifted through the streets of Athens as the last light of the day settled across the city. Golden sunlight reflected from white stone buildings. The distant sea shimmered beneath the fading sky, and across the ancient hills, long shadows stretched slowly toward the valleys below. For Iris, it had been a nearly perfect day. She had spent the afternoon wandering through some of the oldest places in Athens, following quiet pathways that wound between ruins, temples, and weathered stones that had stood for thousands of years. History seemed to exist everywhere in this city. It lived in the streets. It rested beneath the hills. As evening approached, the crowds began to thin. Tourists drifted toward restaurants and hotels. Locals made their way home after another ordinary day. The sounds of traffic softened. The city seemed to exhale. But before returning to her apartment, there was one final place Iris wanted to visit: the Theater of Dionysus. Situated on the southern slope of the Acropolis, the ancient theater was one of the most important places in the history of storytelling. More than 2,000 years ago, As Iris climbed the stone pathway leading toward the theater, she imagined what it must have looked like centuries ago. The crowds, the music, the actors, the excitement of an audience waiting for the curtain to rise. Now, only silence remained. The old stone seats curved gracefully around the stage. Grass grew between cracks in the ancient marble. A warm breeze moved gently through the ruins. Everything felt peaceful, timeless. Iris slowly walked through the rows of weathered seating. She paused occasionally to run her fingers across the cool stone. The seats were surprisingly large. Some had survived remarkably well. Others showed the marks of countless years spent beneath sun, wind, and rain. Eventually, she found a place to sit. From the upper rows, the view stretched far beyond the stage. Athens spread across the landscape below. White buildings climbed distant hills. The sea shimmered along the horizon. And above everything, the evening sky slowly shifted from gold to deep shades of orange and violet. For several minutes, Iris simply sat in silence, watching, listening, breathing. She had always loved Greek mythology. Ever since she was a child, stories of ancient gods had fascinated her. The wisdom of Athena, the strength of Hercules, the adventures of Odysseus, the power of Poseidon. But among all the gods of ancient Greece, one had always captured her imagination more than the others. Not because he was powerful, not because he was famous, but because every person on Earth encountered him every single day. Hypnos, the ancient god of sleep. Unlike many of the Olympian gods, Hypnos was not associated with war, storms, or heroic quests. His realm was quieter, gentler. He ruled over dreams, rest, and the mysterious world that appeared whenever people closed their eyes at night. As the sun continued sinking toward the horizon, Iris found herself wondering about the old stories once again. The ancient Greeks believed that Hypnos lived in a hidden cave beyond the reach of ordinary people, a peaceful place where sunlight never entered, a place surrounded by poppies and flowing waters, a place where dreams drifted through the darkness like living things. The thought made her smile. Perhaps it was simply the atmosphere of the theater, or perhaps it was the quiet beauty of the evening itself. But for a moment, the ancient myths felt closer than usual, as if the distance between the modern world and the world of stories had somehow grown smaller. The sky darkened further. The first stars appeared overhead. And knowing it was finally time to leave, Iris stood and took one last look at the ancient theater before making her way back toward the city below. She had no way of knowing it yet, but before this night was over, she would find herself closer to the world of dreams than she had ever imagined. By the time Iris left the Theater of Dionysus, evening had fully settled over Athens. The last traces of sunlight lingered along the horizon, casting a soft glow over the ancient city. Streetlights flickered on one by one, restaurant terraces filled with quiet conversation, and somewhere in the distance, church bells marked the passing of another day. As she walked downhill toward the city center, Iris took her time. There was no need to hurry. The evening air felt pleasant after the warmth of the afternoon. A gentle breeze drifted through the streets, carrying the scent of olive trees, stone, and the distant sea. Athens was changing, not disappearing, simply slowing down. The busy energy of the day was giving way to something calmer, something softer. Shopkeepers pulled down metal shutters. Cafe owners stacked chairs. Windows glowed warmly above narrow streets. The city seemed to prepare itself for sleep. Iris followed a quiet street lined with small trees. Their leaves rustled gently overhead. Every so often, she passed another traveler, another resident, another person making their way home beneath the growing darkness. Most paid little attention to one another, yet there was something comforting about sharing the same evening. Thousands of lives moving quietly through the same city. Thousands of stories unfolding at once. Greek mythology had always felt different from other stories. The gods were powerful, but they were also surprisingly human. They felt emotions, made mistakes, fell in love, held grudges. They argued, celebrated, and occasionally behaved far less wisely than the people who worshipped them. perhaps that was why the stories endured. They felt alive, even now, thousands of years later. Crossing a small square, Iris noticed an olive tree. According to legend, the city itself had once been claimed by both Athena and Poseidon. To settle the dispute, each god offered a gift to the people. Poseidon struck the earth and produced water. Athena planted an olive tree. The citizens chose Athena's gift, and the city took her name, Athens. Iris smiled. The old stories seemed woven into every part of the city. The streets, the buildings, the hills, even the trees. Everything carried echoes of the ancient world. Eventually, she reached her apartment building. It stood on a quiet street, not far from the center of the city. Nothing remarkable, just a simple place to rest after a day of exploring. She climbed the stairs, unlocked her door, and stepped inside. The silence felt immediate, comfortable, familiar. Setting down her bag, she moved toward the window. Outside, Athens stretched beneath the night sky. Lights twinkled across the hills. The Acropolis glowed softly in the distance. And above it all hung a thin silver moon. For several moments, she simply stood there, watching, listening. The city was still awake, but not for much longer. A yawn arrived unexpectedly. Then another. The long day was finally beginning to catch up with her. She changed into comfortable clothes and prepared for bed. The routine required little thought. A glass of water, a final glance outside, the quiet click of a bedside lamp. Soon, the room was illuminated only by moonlight filtering through the curtains. The sounds of the city faded further. Her breathing slowed. The mattress felt wonderfully soft after a day spent walking. As she settled beneath the blankets, her thoughts drifted once more toward the stories of ancient Greece, toward forgotten gods, toward dreams, toward Hypnos, the gentle ruler of sleep. And somewhere between one breath and the next, as the city outside continued its slow descent into silence, Iris closed her eyes. Sleep was approaching, closer now than she realized. And somewhere beyond the waking world, something had already begun, waiting for her. The city beyond Iris's window continued to grow quieter. One by one, apartment lights disappeared into darkness. The sounds of traffic became less frequent. Even the distant conversations drifting up from the streets below gradually faded away. Night had fully arrived. Inside her room, everything felt calm. The moonlight filtered softly through the curtains, painting pale shapes across the walls and floor. A gentle breeze slipped through the partially open window. The air carried the scent of distant olive trees and cooling stone. Iris rested comfortably beneath her. Now there was nothing left to do. Now there was only rest. Her breathing grew slower, steadier. The tension she had carried in her shoulders throughout the day gradually disappeared. The muscles in her arms relaxed. Her legs felt pleasantly heavy. Even her thoughts seemed to move more slowly, like clouds drifting across a night sky. At first, her mind wandered through small memories from the day. The ancient stones of the theater, the warm colors of the sunset, the view across Athens from the hillside, the feeling of sitting alone among ruins that had witnessed thousands of years of stories. Then her thoughts wandered further, toward the myths she had loved since childhood, toward ancient gods and forgotten places, toward stories that had survived for centuries. The Greeks had imagined a fascinating world beyond sleep, a world hidden from ordinary sight, a place where dreams originated before finding their way into the minds of sleeping people. Some dreams were joyful, some mysterious, others strange and impossible to explain. Yet every dream seemed to come from somewhere, at least in the imagination of ancient storytellers. Iris wondered what it would be like to visit such a place where dreams existed before they were dreamed, a place where sleep itself was born. The thought lingered briefly before beginning to dissolve, like so many thoughts do when sleep approaches. The line between imagination and reality grew softer, less defined. The room around her felt distant now. The mattress beneath her seemed impossibly comfortable. The rhythm of her breathing became... Somewhere beyond the window, a bird called briefly in the darkness. Then silence returned. The moon climbed higher above Athens. Time passed unnoticed. Minutes lost their meaning. The waking world loosened its hold, and gradually, without effort, Iris drifted deeper into sleep. At first, there was only darkness. Then, something began to change. A distant sound emerged, soft and rhythmic, the gentle movement of water, waves rolling against a shoreline. The sound felt familiar, comforting, as though it had always been there. A cool breeze touched her skin, carrying the scent of salt and wildflowers. The darkness slowly brightened, not with sunlight, but with a faint silver glow. And when Iris finally opened her eyes, she realized she was no longer in her room. The city of Athens had vanished. The familiar world of stone buildings and quiet streets was gone. Instead, she found herself standing before the entrance of a vast and mysterious cave. Its opening stretched into darkness. Its stone walls shimmered faintly beneath an otherworldly light. Beyond the entrance, something waited. Something ancient. Something hidden. And although she could not explain why, Iris felt no fear, only curiosity. The same curiosity that had guided her through museums, ruins, stories, and forgotten myths. The same curiosity that now invited her to take a single step forward, into the darkness, into the dream, and toward a place that very few mortals had ever seen. For several moments, Iris remained at the entrance of the cave. The waves continued rolling gently against the shoreline somewhere behind her. A cool breeze drifted through the opening, and ahead lay only darkness. Yet it was not an empty darkness. It seemed alive somehow, filled with a quiet presence she could not quite explain. The cave felt ancient, older than the city she had left behind, older than the temples and ruins she had spent the day exploring. As her eyes adjusted, she noticed a faint silver glow deeper inside. Not bright enough to illuminate the cave completely, only enough to reveal hints of its hidden passages. Curiosity pulled her forward. She took a cautious step, then another. The stone beneath her feet felt smooth and cool. The air carried the scent of damp earth, sea salt, and something sweet she could not identify. The further she walked, the quieter the outside world became. Soon, even the sound of the waves had faded away. Only silence remained. Or almost silence. A soft humming drifted through the darkness. Gentle, melodic, almost like a lullaby carried on the wind. The deeper she ventured, the stronger the silver glow became. And then she saw them, tiny lights floating through the darkness. At first, she thought they were stars, hundreds of them, perhaps thousands, suspended throughout the cave. But stars did not drift lazily through the air. Stars did not dance. These lights moved, slowly, gracefully, like living things. One floated toward her. Its glow shimmered softly against the cave walls. When it came close, Iris realized it was not a star at all. It was a firefly. Its tiny golden light pulsed gently as it hovered before her. Then another appeared, and another. Soon, dozens of glowing fireflies surrounded her. They drifted through the darkness like lanterns floating across a midnight sky. Without knowing why, Iris followed them. The tiny creatures seemed to know exactly where they were going. They guided her deeper into the cave, around bends, through narrow passages, past towering stone walls covered in strange reflections. As she continued walking, she noticed something remarkable above her. Shapes hung from the ceiling, hundreds of them, perhaps thousands. At first, they resembled crystal formations, delicate and luminous. But as she moved closer, she realized they were something entirely different. Each shape glowed with its own unique light. Some shimmered blue, others gold, others silver. Some contained swirling colors that shifted and changed like clouds at sunset. They seemed almost alive. Curious, Iris reached out toward the nearest one. The moment her fingers touched its glowing surface, an image appeared before her eyes. A child laughing beside the sea, the warmth of sunlight, the scent of summer grass, the taste of ripe fruit. The feeling lasted only a second before fading once again. Startled, She stepped back. The glowing shape continued hanging peacefully from the ceiling, as though nothing had happened. A dream. The realization came instantly. The cave was filled with dreams. Countless dreams. Dreams waiting patiently in the darkness. Some joyful, some adventurous, some peaceful. Each carrying pieces of stories yet to be imagined. Iris gazed upward in wonder. The entire cave seemed alive with them. A vast, hidden world where dreams drifted silently through the darkness before finding their way into sleeping minds. The sight was beautiful, almost impossible to comprehend, and yet somehow it felt perfectly natural, as though this secret place had always existed beyond the edge of human awareness. The fireflies continued forward, their lights gathering near the mouth of a larger chamber ahead. A warm glow spilled from within. Unlike the silver light of the dreams, this light felt softer, calmer, welcoming. Iris sensed that someone was waiting there, someone who belonged to this mysterious place. Someone who had watched over these dreams for longer than history could remember. Taking a slow breath, she followed the fireflies toward the chamber and toward the figure who ruled the kingdom of sleep. The chamber beyond the cave was larger than anything Iris had imagined. Its ceiling disappeared into darkness high above. Thousands of dreams drifted through the air like glowing lanterns. Fireflies floated between them, their golden lights moving slowly through the vast space. The entire chamber seemed suspended between sleep and waking, between reality and imagination. At its center stood a throne unlike any throne Iris had ever seen. It was not made of gold, nor marble, nor precious stones. Instead, it appeared to be constructed from countless white cushions and soft fabrics stacked gently upon one another. The throne looked impossibly comfortable, as though it had been designed not for ruling, but for resting. Around it grew fields of deep red poppies. Their petals swayed gently, despite the absence of any wind. The flowers stretched across the chamber floor like a crimson sea. Their sweet fragrance filled the air, calming, comforting, almost hypnotic. Seated upon the throne was a figure dressed in flowing robes the color of moonlight. His eyes were closed, his expression peaceful. At first glance, he appeared to be asleep. The fireflies gathered around him. The dreams drifting through the chamber seemed to move more slowly in his presence, as though the entire cave followed the rhythm of his breathing. Then, without warning, the figure opened his eyes. A gentle smile appeared on his face. Not the smile of someone surprised by a visitor, but the smile of someone who had been expecting one. "Welcome, Iris," he said softly. His voice seemed to echo through the chamber like a distant lullaby, calm, warm, unhurried. Iris stopped. She had never met a god before, at least not that she knew of. Yet somehow she immediately understood who sat before her. Hypnos, the ancient god of sleep, the guardian of dreams, the quiet ruler of this hidden kingdom. unlike the mighty gods described in heroic legends, Hypnos seemed entirely free from pride or grandeur. There was no display of power, no dramatic presence, no attempt to impress. Everything about him felt gentle. Even the cave itself seemed shaped by his nature, a place of peace rather than authority, a place of rest rather than command. "You know my name?" Iris asked. Hypnos smiled again. "Every dream that enters this cave carries a small piece of its dreamer." His gaze drifted toward the glowing dreams hanging above them. "I have watched countless dreams for longer than most people can imagine." Iris followed his gaze. The dreams continued floating silently through the darkness, each one different, each one belonging to someone somewhere in the world. The sight filled her with wonder. "Are these all dreams?" she asked quietly. "Some of them," said Hypnos. "Others are memories waiting to become dreams. Some are forgotten wishes. Some are stories that have not yet been imagined." The answer only deepened the mystery. Yet somehow it felt natural here. The cave seemed to exist beyond ordinary rules, a place where dreams, memories, and imagination flowed together. Hypnos slowly rose from his throne. The movement was graceful and unhurried, like someone who had all the time in the world. Perhaps because he did. The fireflies immediately gathered around him, their lights creating a golden halo within the darkness. "Come," he said, "there is much to see." Together, they began walking through the chamber. The poppies brushed softly against their feet. Above them, dreams drifted like glowing clouds. The deeper they traveled into the kingdom of sleep, the quieter everything became, until even silence itself seemed peaceful. And as Iris followed the god of sleep through his hidden realm, she realized she was about to discover wonders that very few mortals had ever seen. As Iris followed Hypnos deeper into the cave, the kingdom of sleep unfolded around her. Every passage seemed larger than the last. Every chamber revealed new wonders hidden within the darkness. Yet, despite its size, the realm never felt overwhelming. It felt peaceful, like a place where nothing needed to be hurried. The air was warm and still. The scent of poppies drifted softly through the cave. Above them, countless dreams floated through the darkness like glowing clouds. Some moved slowly, others drifted lazily in circles. Each carried fragments of stories waiting to be experienced. Hypnos paused beneath one of the dreams. Its surface shimmered with shades of gold and silver. Inside, Iris could see faint images taking shape. A quiet beach, a summer evening, the distant sound of laughter. "A happy dream," Hypnos said softly. "One that will soon find its dreamer." The dream drifted upward and disappeared into the darkness above. A moment later, another dream floated past. This one glowed blue, cool and peaceful. Within it, Iris glimpsed endless fields beneath a star-filled sky. She smiled. Every dream seemed unique. Every dream belonged to someone. "Do they all come here?" she asked. Hypnos nodded. "For as long as people have slept, dreams have passed through this kingdom." His voice echoed gently through the cavern. Millions each night. The number was impossible to imagine. Millions of people sleeping. Millions of dreams drifting through the darkness. At that very moment, while Athens rested beneath the moon, countless others around the world had already closed their eyes. Children, parents, travelers, students, farmers, sailors, people in busy cities and quiet villages, each carried their own hopes, memories, worries, and wishes into sleep. And somehow, in this hidden realm, all those dreams seemed connected. They continued walking. Soon they reached the edge of a slow-moving river. The water glowed softly beneath the cave's silver light. Each resting peacefully, each lost in dreams of their own. The river of sleep, Hypnos explained. Every night it carries the world gently toward rest. The sight was strangely comforting. There was no fear here, no loneliness, only peace. The quiet understanding that every living person eventually closes their eyes and drifts into the same great mystery. For a while, neither of them spoke. They simply watched the river flow. And the kingdom of sleep carried on exactly as it always had, timeless, unchanging. Eventually, Hypnos turned toward her. His expression was kind, almost fatherly. "You should rest now," he said. Iris suddenly realized how tired she felt. Not unpleasantly tired, comfortably tired. The kind of tiredness that arrives at the end of a long and satisfying day. A bed appeared beside the river. Soft white blankets covered its surface. Fireflies hovered above it like tiny lanterns. The sight felt welcoming. Without hesitation, Iris lay down. The mattress seemed softer than anything she had ever felt. The sounds of the cave faded around her. The river became distant. The dreams became distant. Even the glow of the fireflies slowly blurred. Her eyes grew heavy. Hypnos smiled. The kingdom of sleep grew quieter. And for the first time that night, Iris fell asleep within a dream itself. When she opened her eyes again, morning sunlight filled her room. Athens stretched beyond her window. The city was beginning another day. For a moment, she remained still beneath her blankets, listening, remembering. Had it all been a dream? The cave, the fireflies, the river, the god of sleep? She could not be certain. Yet something felt different. Calmer, lighter, as though she had returned from a journey to a place she had somehow always known. Outside, the city slowly awakened beneath the morning sun. Inside, Iris smiled and closed her eyes for just a moment longer. And somewhere far beyond the waking world, hidden among dreams, fireflies, and fields of poppies, the kingdom of sleep continued waiting patiently for night to return. Good night.